How's it going, everybody? This is 3 Agree Ministry. My name is Dayton, and today I want to film just a quick intro video to this channel and kind of what my mission is with this channel, as well as just a little bit of history of how I came to the faith. All right, you guys, let's get into it. How's it going, guys? This is my video, man. I'm nervous to make this. I'm definitely going to be putting myself out there for this video, but I've had some experiences in my life over the last year that are just unexplainable in a worldly view. And I guess in this introduction video, I would like to introduce you to me and to my channel and kind of what the purpose of this channel is. If you guys are looking at me and you say, hey, that guy looks familiar, or hey, I know you, or hey, I've been watching you for a while, I've been doing YouTube for a minute. I've obviously never popped off or got popular from this YouTube thing, but you know, I've been around for a long time, and so there's probably going to be a bunch of people that are just like, holy cow, I've been watching this kid forever, he's crazy, whatever. So shout out to all you guys. I love you guys. But I've had a really weird year, you guys, and I want to share my story with you. I feel like it's important enough to share with you guys. Where do I begin? I want to try to do this in one take. That way, you know, it's not a 2-hour video, but I'm going to be vulnerable with you guys. I'm going to be genuine with you guys, and hope that you guys can kind of resonate with me. My name is Dayton. I live in Utah. You guys know the stigma about Utah and religion. Obviously, we got a lot of LDS church members, Mormons, and I was raised in it. You know, when I was young, I was brought up in the LDS church, but I'll be honest with you guys, I never followed it. I didn't really care for it. I didn't even care much about, even as a kid, I just didn't care much about it. I didn't really know what I was being taught. But as I got older, I was about 12 or 13 years old, which is still super young, you guys, so hear me out. I started questioning not just my church that I was going to, but all of it. I questioned all of it, and my thought was through the lens of how I was viewing everything religiously, obviously through a Mormon lens. You know, a lot of it was just, something was just not clicking for me. I'll be open and honest, you guys. I've always been conservative. You know, I'm a truth seeker. I'm definitely a facts over feelings type person. Some of that has changed a little bit, but like, I'm always a facts over feelings person. And when I was looking into these, you know, when I was going to church as a kid in the LDS church, I was looking at all this like, man, this sounds crazy. You know, this guy disagrees, and this guy, you know, he's been doing this for a long time, and this person doesn't even know how to explain something to me. And I'll be honest, you guys, it wasn't something that I was obsessed with where I was like, I need answers. Actually, it was my own personal doing that led me completely out of not just the church, but out of faith, period. This idea of religion, this idea of God, and the views of it just didn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? It just didn't make sense to me. And I've spent the vast majority of my life as a full-blown agnostic, almost leaning atheist for most of my life, up until last year. I wouldn't call myself full-blown atheist, and I wouldn't also call myself agnostic. I think I kind of would classify myself as a deist. And kind of what a deist is you believe in a higher power. But you don't have a name to it. You don't have a personal relationship with it. You don't even know if they know you or they care about you or even know that you exist. You know what I mean? And like, but I've always been logical enough to think that, you know, God's gotta, like, there's gotta be a creator, you know? There's logic to it. And me being a very fact-oriented person, I don't like opinions. I don't like mythical stories. I've never found those interesting, and I've always actually found it to go against the, like, believing in God. But there is logic to thinking God could exist, and we'll explain that in a later video. You guys, like I said, this channel, I'm gonna have so much going on this channel. I think that we'll just see where it goes with it. You know, it's not for fame, glory, subscribers, nothing. It's mostly like a video diary for myself, so I can remember all of this, and then, you know, hopefully have some people resonate with me along the way. But I will be making a video on a lot, like, my logic to believing that a God of any kind could exist. But with that logic, which we'll get into in a later video, with that logic, it was, my logical explanation led me to one God. And if you guys know, in LDS, obviously they believe in, they're not Trinitarians, they are tritheists is a better way to put it. They definitely have a different perception on the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and how that goes. So like that didn't make sense to me. I was like, nope. That didn't make sense to me. I'm like, nope. So I got a little bit off track with that. But point is, I've been agnostic, deist, but I was a believer that if there is a God, there is only one God. And what was interesting is that led me into a different spiral later on in life. So let's get on to that. When I met my wife in 2018, proposed to her in 2020, got married in 2022, and we planned on having a baby. And this is really where my story and coming to God started. We were planning on having a baby, and we got pregnant with our first kid. Unfortunately, just a couple months in, we miscarried. And there was something about the miscarriage that hit different with me than anything else has before. And again, I'm not really a super political guy, but I've always been a conservative-minded person. I tend to lean that way. I've always been a pro-life person, and like, so I've always thought these certain ways. I've always been that way. But for some reason, not just talking about it or debating it with somebody in high school, living it and going through the loss of a child that was not born, it hit me deeper than anything's ever hit me. And it started to make me question a couple things. First thing is, I'm super pro-life, but I don't believe in God. So, if I'm super pro-life, but I don't believe in God, what is it that makes this baby, truthfully, not a clump of cells? And I believed so deeply, you guys will never understand what I went through. I believed so deeply that I didn't lose a clump of cells. I did not lose a clump of cells. I lost my son or my daughter. And I was so certain that that clump of cells was vitally more important than any other clump of cells. And of course, in order for me to feel this and feel it for certain, I felt it certainly, you guys. I can't describe it to you, but I was so certain of that, of what I just said. I was so certain of it when it happened to me. And maybe it's personal, you guys, and that's okay. You know, my channel is dedicated to helping the personal journey. We'll talk about that. But maybe it's personal to me, but I was so certain about this that it led me to think of, okay, why is that clump of cells more than a clump of cells? You know, I've always thought it. You know, I think life begins at conception. There's a lot of stuff politically. This is separate of that. My thoughts were, why am I so certain about this? If I don't believe in God and don't really believe in a higher authority, like a creator of this kid, it's just, you know, it's just chance and, you know, sperm and an egg meet and boom, there's a baby. There's not. There's more than that. There was more than that. And I felt it in my heart. And I wanted to do research. And obviously you guys are going to say, well, obviously, if you research the topic of miscarriage and abortion from the pro-life side, you're just going to find a bunch of religious stuff. True. And like I said, this is personal. But when I started looking into these things, obviously you go down a religious rabbit hole on this idea of God and why humans are not just valuable, but more valuable than all other living things. And I felt that. I resonated so hard with it that I'm like, you know what? Let me just think about it. Let me, this God thing. The loss of my son or daughter pushed me so strong into finding, first of all, if God is there, if it's logical to believe if God is there, and which God is it? Because I came into this not being, I'm not going to go look straight into Christianity. I'm not going to go look straight into Islam. I'm not going to go look straight into Hinduism. I'm not going to go straight back into LDS. Like, I didn't go to a specific religion to look this up. I just looked up God. And it strengthened my already existing belief that a God could exist And it started to lead me down this path of, well, can I get to know him? Can I get to understand him? And that's where faith comes in. I started looking at pretty much every religion. I've gone through so much study the last year that it would blow your mind how often I'm doing this. My wife probably is mad at me for how often I'm just researching it. I'm not researching from one side or the other. I'm just searching for truth. And me being a logical fact person, to make a very, very, very long story short, I started looking into the historical fact of all the major world religions. Because obviously if these religions are so popular, there's got to be something behind them. So I started looking into which one of these historically can I believe? Which one of these with historical evidence, based in reality, not in opinion, not in mysticism, in reality, which one has backing to it? And we'll make videos on that too. But my logical conclusion came down really to just two religions. And I hope I'm not offending any religion. I'm a fan of faith over atheism of any kind. But I came down in my own personal research to two religions that had historical backings all the way back to when things have happened. And that was Christianity and Islam. And technically, because of Christianity, Judaism is also, obviously, Jesus confirmed all this stuff. So Judaism would have been a third. But for me, the Old Testament stuff was really hard for me to get back and find facts on. You know, it was passed down, very well preserved. But the point is I'm talking about, like, I'm going full-blown skeptic mode into this research. Who has history? Who has facts? I don't want opinion. I just want to know what historically can be trusted as what some people actually believed and what actually happened. I narrowed it down to the two. And obviously you guys know the vital difference between Christianity and Islam is Jesus Christ. And I will sit here and tell you and give you my testimony today that if Jesus Christ, if God had not come to earth and done what he did, I would not be a person of faith. I needed Jesus, the historical account of Jesus, in order for me to come to any faith. And when you start to do the research, every other religion points to Jesus as being special in some way. But Jesus comes down here and claims, you know, a lot of people say, like, if God wanted us to believe in him, why wouldn't he just come down here and tell us? He did. He did. And like I said, there's so many videos I want to make separately of my introduction video to you guys. So I'm not going to get into all of these details and make this video so long. But I studied the historical Jesus and came to the same conclusion that all the historians that have done this research, or the vast majority, I should say, of historians that have done historical fact-based research on anything that's claimed in any special book. They all agreed that Jesus of Nazareth at least existed, that he was crucified under Pontius Pilate, and that his followers believed, whether or not it happened, his followers believed that he was risen from the dead and appeared to them, and they believed that they saw the risen Christ. And that to me was where the fear of God was finally put into my heart. And not fear in a bad way, fear in a great way. It was, if this could have happened, and I'm not even saying, like, at this point, I wasn't like, oh, this definitely happened. It was just like, there's some historical evidence to this maybe happening. What if I'm wrong? What if I'm wrong about God? What if this is, because this at least has some grounds in history, in reality. What if I'm wrong? So I started reading, the Bible. I started reading a bunch of people that were against the Bible, trying to disprove and, prove contradictions in the Bible. And trust me, I went on this crazy rampant thing where I went from Christian to not, to heretic, to thinking I was oneness, to think I went all around the globe. But the more research I did, it always pointed back to Jesus. And like I said, if Jesus wouldn't have come, I wouldn't be a man of faith. I really feel like I needed a Jesus. I needed the historical account of Jesus to even think about it, to even open my mind just enough to accept that God might actually exist. And by doing that, my research has led me down a amazing path of being so faithful and believing in my faith that Jesus Christ is who he says he is. And if he's not, then who else would I follow? You know what I mean? Like if you really are a person looking for God, Jesus is the closest thing in history and fact that you can put trust into. And if he is who he says he is, then you need to follow him. And if he's not who he says he is, who else would I follow? So that was deep. When I started looking into Jesus, man, I was like, what type of stuff am I going to have to give up in my life? And this is where I'm going to get controversial. Some Christians aren't going to love what I'm about to say. But what are the things, like if I wanted to be a follower of this guy and just, let's just hope and let's just and I went into it not even with full faith. It was mostly just, let's pretend this guy's telling the truth. What does that mean for me? What would I have to give up in order to follow him? And when I started reading the word, and I struggle with it, and I think you should struggle with it. Question everything you read all the time, but don't just question it, never look into it. Always look into it. But I started reading the word, and I figured, all the anti-arguments about the gospel, about, the scriptures being tampered with, and all these things is, they always say that, it's been corrupted by man. So I just read the beautiful red letters in my red letter Bible, and I just listened to Jesus, and I decided, let's just say that it might be, it might not be true. What do I have to do to be a follower of him? And what does that mean I have to give up? And I realized, and this is very personal, you guys, so not everyone will like this, but I realized for me, I've already been doing 99% of what he taught. The morals that I grew up with, the morals that I still hold very strong today, are all agreed with by Jesus. And I realized, what is this? Why, what do I have to lose to do this? And then people go into this idea of there's Pascal's wager. I might make a video on that later, where it's like, if you're an atheist and you don't believe in God, but God does exist and it is the Christian God, then you get punished. But if he does exist and it is the Christian God, then the best case is you get heaven. The worst case is there is no God and you just go to nothingness, which is better than being an atheist, because in being an atheist, your best case scenario is nothingness and your worst case scenario is punishment. So there was a lot of things going on in my brain of what would it take to follow this person? And if it's not this person, then who else would I follow? Who else can lead me to the faith of the idea of something after this? Something more greater than earth, something that follows earth, something that's better. If you really do research and you just want in your heart to believe that there is something more after this, you guys, Jesus is going to be the only person that gives any bit of hope to maybe having it happen. And so anyway, I started, I realized, what it was that I had to give up, and realizing that it wasn't this ball and chain relationship that I grew up with in my church, that so many of my friends and family, oh man, I can't tell you guys, a lot of them Mormons, that ball and chain relationship with God, it's not, man. God is love. And when you really read the message of the gospel, man, does God love us. If he's willing to do what he did, just for us who don't deserve it. I mean, this guy's the perfect role model. Even if he didn't exist, this guy's the perfect role model. So I decided I'm going to follow him. And then, of course, by following him, going down the everything, the debates. I've watched so many hours of debates, so many hours of people trying, disproving it and trying to, And everything just logically came to me. And more truth, if you seek the truth, you will be given it, you guys. I'm here to tell you, if you stop what you're doing and erase everything that you know, even if you're already a Christian struggling with this, stop. Erase everything you know and go back to it like you're a child. Come to God like you're a child and you don't know nothing and you just rely on him. He's your father, right? When my son is born, he doesn't get my love because he did something for me. I just love him. He loves us that same way. When my son goes astray, I'll forgive him. When I go astray, he'll forgive me. And when you realize that it is a love, this relationship is love, whether it's true or not, it's a great message. Now, obviously, through what I've been through, I'm certain it's true. I've had inward changes that spiritually, I didn't even think spiritual realm existed. Spiritually, I can't explain to you guys. I have seen inward changes that are just undescribable. And all I want is for everybody to have that same experience that I've had. So the idea of this channel, you guys, is to help teach the word, teach some biblical, basically everything that I found myself, I want to share with you guys. And again, go into the skeptical, man. If you don't believe it, that's okay. But be open about it. Be honest. Think about it. And I think when you open your mind truthfully like a child and come back to God, the truth will be given to you. And you will start to believe these things that you naturally wouldn't believe. But it takes that leap of faith. It takes that open mind. And this is what I've done. And man, it has brought me so deep into Jesus that it has changed me from the inside out, and I want you guys to all experience that with me. So, 3 Agree Ministry. There's reasons for the name. Obviously, the Johannine comma, where there are 3 that bear witness in heaven, and they all agree as one. Obviously, that was not a part of the earliest manuscripts, but I just love that verse. And the 3 agree. I like that. As a Trinitarian, the 3 are in perfect unison, so 3 agree. And then the biggest reason for the name of this channel is there was 3 people that brought me to God, besides God, right? Because God brings me. But there was 3 people: my wife, my son, who we just had a son 2 months ago. My baby boy was born, and he has definitely opened my eyes to a lot of things. And then the third person is that miscarried little son or daughter of mine that really got the ball rolling. Those are the 3. And with those 3, I'm certain of where I'm at now. But my idea is just to share everything with you guys that I've learned. Some just really cool Bible studies, some passages that have really resonated with me. And to open you guys up to the idea that this is personal, man. I think people come to God in many different ways, and you're supposed to wrestle with it. It's not supposed to be this super easy thing. They're like, oh yeah, that's perfect. Maybe it is for you, and that's awesome, and I'm jealous, but it takes a real struggle to get to understand the truth in its fullness. And I'm nowhere near the full truth. I tell people I feel like I'm literally 2% on my spiritual journey. I've only considered myself a true Christian for 6 months now, and before that, when I was leaning into God, I went all over the place. And trust me, I went into it with an open heart. I didn't just, oh, that one's stupid, or that one's stupid. I'm like, I like that. But then when you realize all these other religions point to Jesus too, my thought was, there's no one else that exists, or existed, or might have existed, that I would rather follow and put trust in for something after this than Jesus Christ. And I hope that you guys will consider that. Again, if you don't, I'll pray for you. And if you do, I'll pray for you. No difference to me. I just want to spread the word. And I'm jealous of myself. I want you guys to experience what I've experienced. And it's an amazing thing. So that's kind of my story. 25 minutes, not too bad. That's my story. That's kind of the idea of my channel, is just to share and just tell you guys everything that I've learned. Really cool stories, and then have you guys wrestle with it. I'm not here. A lot of people come out here really to just like straight up convert you or force it onto you. I had that forced onto me. I hate it. I know that God would probably want me to just go out and just make disciples like crazy. But, I have a personal experience that I feel like personally resonates with me. And hopefully I can personally resonate with you and bring you closer to the one true God, the Trinity, the one essence, three persons. And that is a whole nother confusing topic for another day. And trust me, I wrestled with that for a long time. But that's going to be it for this video. Hope you guys are excited for this channel. Thank you guys for sitting with me through this whole thing and letting me be vulnerable to you. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace out.